Welcome to the 94 by 50 podcast. Again, I'm your host, Ilyas Kurbanov, and today we'll be joined by a Naofall Ming Folahan, who is on on his way here currently, just about to join soon. And there's there's the man of the hour, Ming himself. My friend, how you doing out there on the East Coast?
Man, can't complain. I'm doing well, man. Just obviously just finished the season. Didn't really finish how we wanted it, but I mean, we were supposed to. Everybody picked us last, and we ended up being in the semifinals. So that was pretty. It's a great turnaround second half of the season for sure.
Definitely. You guys definitely had the talent even last year, and everyone was expecting something big, and then you flunked out from the playoffs, I remember, and then this year
First round,
um,
yeah.
it's a little different, but glad to have you here with me. It's so beautiful out in Vancouver right now, 20
Uh,
degrees weather. I'm
wow.
loving it,
I'm
loving it.
not.
Sun,
I hate you right now.
clear skies, clear skies.
Really?
Yeah, it's so
Wow.
beautiful. But don't get it twisted. It'll go back to the gray and the mud and the rain next week in no time. Like it'll be super quick. Man, let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about you for a minute. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
you
Okay.
know
I guess that's
some.
why I'm here.
Come on, my guy. Obviously. Uh, So, a former player, now a coach. Actually, let me introduce you a little bit to the people
Sure.
that might join and watch it live or watch it later. Ming is a
Right.
former basketball player, played at Wagner University under Dan Hurley, right?
Yep, yep. Actually, Wagner just won
The
the
conference,
tournament.
yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that. They're
conference.
going
Yeah.
headed to the big dance.
So just to cut you off, but sorry, Wagner just won. Danny Hurley just won. So I mean, it's and actually my coach who my senior year was Coach Bosch,
Mhm.
and he's a coach at St. Peter's right now.
And they also won. They
And they
also going
also
back to
won.
the big dance.
So
Yeah.
all the three schools pretty much won. So it's a pretty big week for me.
Hey, you got a big bracket to fill out here probably in a few hours. But
100%, 100%. Sorry, go
um,
ahead.
yeah, no worries. Ming played at Wagner, played professional basketball in the Canadian NBL.
Yeah.
Now coaching with the St. Mary's Huskies. Was with the Stingers. Not
Yep.
sure if are you going back with the Stingers again
Well,
with
I'm
the
still wearing
Edmonton
the
Elite.
hat right now, but
Hey now, the champs.
um,
Going back to the Canadian Elite Basketball League, so it's the CEBL, which is the summer league here for university athletes based in Canada and Canadian and just Division One players who are looking to opportunity to expand their skill set and obviously get some sort of exposure. Pro athletes, pro players that play overseas come back and play in the CBL. Apparently, there are talks right now to make this officially a Canadian basketball league that will be going year round, which will be huge for Canadian basketball if that actually does go through. But
yeah,
Ming,
yeah,
the man of the hour, we're going to talk about you.
appreciate it, appreciate it.
What's first things first? What was it like, growing up first in another country, Benin City,
Yeah,
Nigeria, and coming
yeah,
down to North America and finding a way to,
yeah. I mean, it was tough, man. Listen, I left home when I was about the age of I was just 15 years old. Um, didn't speak any English. So at that age, I usually ask all the even the youth here that I coach, I train. I'm like, a lot of you guys won't be able to do it. Let's be honest. But it was tough, man. I can't lie, my first couple of months was very rough. Just like struggling, trying to fit in. Trying to understand what they're saying. The language barrier was there, and But one thing for sure was I'm always being like a people person. So I'm always good at interacting with others and find ways to communicate. So that definitely helped me a lot. And obviously basketball was huge, so that kept me on the right track. I landed in Baltimore when I first arrived to the state, which was very very tough. I mean, for those who know Baltimore, it's if you don't live in downtown, the other parts are pretty tough. It's a tough area, right? But it definitely made me grow faster, learn how to interact with certain people and obviously how to stay away from all the things that happen. Um, but like most kids, I thought I was good because I was 6'9", 6'10" at that point. I was already pretty tall. And more like most kids, they think they're really, really good, right? And my first game was against DeMarcus Cousin, and I mean, he put he pretty much put his both legs in my face and just dunked the ball really bad. That was my first kind of like welcome to America. And at that point, I know I was like, okay, wow, I need a lot of work. It was like a wake up call, right? And I think a lot of kids need those type of wake up call to know that you're not as good as you think you are. And but I put the work in. Obviously America is huge in basketball, so the coach, I would never forget about it. My first game after Cousin dunked the ball, he was like, "Listen, you're a big guy, and if you don't learn how to flip the switch in a game, meaning you can be nice all you want, we like that about you, but in a game you gotta be a different. You have to have a different mindset." And funny enough, I started watching KG. Kevin Garnett was just kind of like, crazy on the court, just mental. And but
Legend,
with
legend, legend of the game. This guy's just punching his chest, doing
right,
push-ups, middle of the game.
legit, it's crazy. And it's only one of my friend knows this about me, and people who are really close know this about me. But like legit, like I started watching him and just like, okay, I need to be like him. And I watched one of his documentary where it's like, he was just like, he saw the mindset. I just kind of talk to myself, pump myself, and I started doing the same thing before games, just trying to talk to myself. I even, some people who close to me, when I tell the story, still laugh at me to this day. But like, I used to look at myself in the mirror and just like kind of talk trash and thinking like it's somebody else, like essentially I'm crazy. And even on the court, before the game started, I would like stare at you. Let's say you are the opposite team, I would just stare at you like, people are warming up and I'm just stopping and watching you. And then you're looking at me like, what's going on with this guy? This guy's weird. But I'm just like psyching my mind right to get ready to get a little bit mad. And it helped me. It helped me for those 2 years that I ended up going to Boston prep school there. We've been months in academy, which helped me a lot. My senior year, I ended up being a nominee for the McDonald American Game, and obviously received a lot of scholarship to go to university. And I was supposed to go obviously to a big school. That I had UCLA, New Mexico State. I'm talking about just high major NCAA's, but and I kind of tell that to a lot of kids who are in grade 12, get grade 10, 11. Go where you fit in. Don't just follow the trend or follow the big school because you just want to be. And again, it all depends on every player. Everybody has a different goal and different mindset. I'm sure you love to play, so you don't want to go somewhere where you don't want to play. Some kids, they just want to go to like Dow because, and I'm just picking Dow, just because they win a lot of championship game, but doesn't mean that you're gonna play, right? But yes, you're probably gonna be win against. So, but for me, I wanted to play right. I want to play right away. I didn't want to waste time. So ended up going to Wagner. Thank God, Danny Hurley, the Hurley family just took over. So it was great. It was a great fit. Mid major, low major. So I was able to play all my 4 years there. Broke a lot of records. Those 4 times, I'm still the all-time leading shot blocker in the school history, which is pretty awesome. And after that, obviously received a lot of pre-draft workout, NBA workout with the Knicks, Celtics, and what was the other one? I believe it was Houston. I can't remember, but definitely the Knicks and the Celtics. I had to work out with them, so that was great experience. I would not trade it for anything. And right after that, didn't really want to go to the. I had a daily contract. Didn't really like it just because of the moving part, especially me being international. I've traveled so much, right? I've been to almost every city, every country. So for me, at that point, I was like, I kind of wanted something steady and solid. And my agent was able to get me a contract in Canada, which was very, very solid, and I liked it. And the goal was obviously to come here, do 1 year, put up some numbers, do a great job, and then try out for the NBA again. But if funny enough, kind of ended up liking Canada, strangely, which is weird, but loved it. It's 2 years. Obviously, I played 2 years pro, which was awesome. But um, the other part that most people don't know too is it's a business, right? So it's not like when you play in university, your boys, your brothers, whatever you talk in the locker room stays in the locker room. We all know that. But in the
Never
pros,
leaving never leaves, never leaves.
right, right. But in the pros, it's completely different, right? It's like, everybody, you making the most money. So whatever you telling me, I'm probably gonna tell anybody else or snitch or, just kind of like it's a business. Everybody coming for your paycheck essentially, and your job obviously to perform only. So there was not much of a family camaraderie that I really, really loved and I embraced. So that kind of threw me off a little bit, and that's why I decided to step away, right?
Of all the years that you've played, like you immediately right off the bat, you mentioned like DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie, the man himself, welcomed you to the States.
For
Would you
sure.
say, would you say, would you say Boogie was like the toughest opponent you've ever played against, or was there someone else that you looked at and like,
That's a
damn,
good question.
I wish I knew a way how to stop something that he's doing.
You know what? I gotta give it to Drummond, Andre Drummond, and that was my second year in university. We went to play UConn actually, which is kind of crazy now. So it was
A
Drummond,
a
German,
full circle moment, huh?
full circle. Seriously. That class was Jeremy Lamb was playing, Drummond, Oriaki, a couple bigs. So I had essentially my job was to
Shabazz
try.
was Shabazz on that team as
Shabazz,
well? Yeah.
yep, Shabazz. And it's funny actually, Shabazz, him and I we play AU together in the same team. So I knew him pretty well. But yeah, Drummond was like he was tough to guard in the sense of it was very hard to tell. Like he's like a quick jumper. Most people you can tell when they're about to take off, but Drummond can just get off his feet so quick. And me, obviously, as a shot blocker, which I love to do, I just like to play everybody's shot, and I just go for everything, right? So it was quite surprising to see how quick he jumped. It's funny. I think that game, I still score more than him because I remember Calhoun first half. I think I had like 6 points to start back to back, and then he took him off, subbed him off. But then he came back and he came back strong. But yeah, he was definitely hard to guard just because you couldn't tell. I couldn't predict because as a shot blocker, you always kind of like predict the movement before it actually happens. But he was very, very hard to predict. And also somebody else I gotta give it to obviously Carmelo. Melo shot, and this is I'm kind of I feel like I'm bouncing around here with your interview here, but
That's fine.
when when I was going for the pre-draft workout, I was working out with Melo a little bit with the Knicks one. Chris Brickley, I don't know if you know Chris Brickley.
Yeah.
He runs the New York run thing, and that was way before it was even hot like this now. So you'll see it was small back then. It was like Melo, J.R. Smith, and like we would work out and then
The
run.
social media is so much bigger now too that it's like just everyone's going to those runs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah. No, it's huge now. That's crazy. Like I went back 3 years ago to just watch him, and like it's insane. You can't even if you don't know him or you can't get in. It's crazy. But yeah, Melo, I would say like his shots is like it's a quick release. Really, probably the quickest release I ever seen. So that was hard to block as well. So those two probably like the that I've ever got the opportunity to go at each other. So yeah,
you mentioned something that in the previous in a previous question when you were kind of talking about your basketball background, but what's something that you find nowadays with like today's generation, like choosing schools, like
yeah,
choosing where
yeah.
they go to play, and what do you think is determining factor at this point, like
Um,
because in Canada, like think about it, in Canada the scholarship
yeah,
system is not going to
yeah.
be introduced maybe for another year, I believe.
Well,
So it's like you're not really going for money,
no,
obviously. Like there's no like, I'm sure there's like certain ways that like you set up with bursaries that come
yeah,
directly from the school and whatever, but it's not like athletic scholarships. It doesn't exist
no,
until
no,
it's like it's being in works right now as we speak.
yeah.
But how, like, what do you tell players when you're trying to bring them in and they're going not necessarily against your word, but more kind of against themselves, putting them in a position where they
Yeah,
might not be successful on the next level.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. We all know there's different type of players, calibers, right? So obviously there's the A players, the B players, and C players. So it really, again, it's a business within itself too. And obviously, as I'm learning the Canadian way, obviously I've been coaching speed for going to my third year now, I believe. Um, and as I'm learning as well how it's going. And like you say, to your point, yes, there's no athletic scholarship. However, there is obviously the academic scholarship that players can still get. But the other part is pretty much on you. Uh, and I would say some of this, if you're a player, if you know, obviously, if you're a tough, really, really good player, you are gonna get that type of like academic scholarship, taken care of. Um, but to be honest, if you're a local, I believe if you're a local, it helps you a little bit more. Obviously, you don't have to pay for home. So if you're a player who are really, really good and you're at home, don't necessarily, and that's the toughest part, right? Don't I would if it was me, I wouldn't try to go away. Do you know what I mean? Like I would try to stay home to at least save as much money I can get, and especially if I feel like I could play with that school, instead of going far away where I have to pay housing, I have to pay for the bills, and if I'm not on an academic scholarship, that's even worse. So I mean, I think it's a lot of options. I mean, you got to weigh your option. You got to see what's fit. I mean, first and foremost, figure out if you're gonna fit in a system with the coach. That would be the first thing. So don't look for the school. Look for more of the coach. And like look at his coaching style. Do you like it? If you do, then great. It may work. But don't just go. Like I say again, don't go for the school because I could have gone for the school too. Yes, we consider in the state there's you get a full ride, but even that I wasn't trying to go to UCLA or any of those big schools because I knew myself. I know I was good, but again, the first time coming in the state, it humbled me with the Demarcus Cousins, dunking on me. So at that point, I knew right away, like, yes, you're getting better, but don't get your head too big. Go to where you can fit in and where you can shine. You know what I mean? So I would say the same thing.
Okay. And now that you're coaching, like obviously you played for one of the most animated and intense and
For
like
sure.
a very good basketball mind as well. Dan
Yeah,
Hurley,
yeah,
incredible coach. What he's done last year with UConn, like they dominated all year
Nah.
long. They did
For-
have, mind you, they did have the talent, right? Like
yeah,
Andre
yeah, yeah,
Jackson Jr.,
yeah,
Jordan
yeah,
Hawkins, obviously
yeah,
Adama Sanogo, who is in the G League, Adama
yeah,
Sanogo.
yeah,
Like all these guys, they're great players outside
yeah.
of like, the ones that returned, Donovan Clingan, who's still there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Clay
What is
Con.
something that you took away from Dan Hurley when you were a player that
Yeah,
you now try to use or
yeah,
even tell your guys that, to impact either their
yeah,
game or just their development, their personal development, athletic development? Because, being a varsity athlete, it's not just about growing and winning. Like you want
yeah,
to become the best version of yourself, right?
yeah, yeah. You know what? This is a great one. One thing for sure that I would never forget, he used to tell us, and back then he was like, yeah, whatever. He's probably just talking to talk. Um, he always used to tell us, listen, guys, once we are in this circle and in this arena, or we between those lines, anything else doesn't matter, and no one else cares. And it's just like life as well. Obviously once you're successful, people care more, but when you're not doing so good, no one cares. It's only your mom and dad's going to be there for you. So and like so when you think about that, that means you always got to put the work in, no matter what, who's watching. Don't wait for someone to put pile your back. And you can see it in Hurley, like he don't care. Like obviously he's winning, he's doing, everybody's on him, everybody loves him now, but he's been that way you know since he was getting coached by his own dad, who's obviously a Hall of Famer, Bobby Hurley Sr. So and practice was always intense. Obviously, on between the line was intensity, nonstop. And that mindset where it's like no excuses. He definitely engraved it in me. And to the point where it's like it helps me even to this day. Like me going to Halifax where I didn't even know anybody there, didn't even have no connection whatsoever, right? And now I'm able to not only build. I have about three companies that I created: a marketing company, a basketball company. Obviously, now I'm coaching, and Smear, and I coach the CEBL. So all those things, didn't happen just because I woke up. It was because I was, grinding and just like at it, even if it's because again, no one cares. So I'm just going at it, going at it, going at it. So those values are definitely what I'm trying to bring to not even to the team, but to the players itself, because I think it's going to help in the long run. Especially because again, like once I retired, and obviously we didn't talk about this, but once I retired to from playing pro, I was a little bit on you can say depressed mode for a month, where because most us all us athletes, especially when you like, that's all right,
Oh,
just
we don't
ball.
know anything. I literally, legit, I had, kid you not, I had this conversation with one of my friends
Yeah,
like 2 days ago.
yeah,
That like like I was done playing.
yeah,
I'm like, I like what are,
yes, yes.
like, you know what I mean? You just sit there, you don't know what you're doing. Like,
It's
it's like,
you
you went
know
to school to get a degree. You
right,
have a
right.
degree.
You do
You know that you are capable of getting a job somewhere, but it's like,
100.
what, how do I
Right,
start doing this? Like,
right. It's crazy. Yo, no, it's true, bro. I was a month straight, man. I was in the couch just watching TV, just like this. And like my wife would come every day, like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'd be pissed at her. I was really pretty rude. I was like, leave me alone." And she actually would. Thank God, I didn't have one of those who just get your butt off the couch. So I felt frustrated. I was just like this, just watching. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And obviously, she got tired of one day. She's like, "Listen, you have a degree, a free degree, especially me, a half a million degree. And, you have a diploma in marketing and business, international business, a major. So why don't you just use it and tie it with basketball and merge it together?" And that's when the light bulb went off. I'm like, shoot, yeah, I probably could do that. And started off small and kind of to where I'm at now. But yeah, it's quite crazy,
it's like to think like legit, like when you brought it up, like full circle moment. It's like
right?
I had this conversation with my friend. I'm like, we're sitting down, we're having a drink, and next thing you know, the conversation just goes on. Like you remember the year when you remember Chad Wadden, right?
Yes, yes,
You remember the year he cut me.
yes.
Um, no one, no, no one to this day knows or understands why that happened, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So that happens, and then for that first entire semester,
Yeah.
I procrastinated every single assignment I had.
Jeez.
I did not do school. I didn't go to school. I didn't
What?
work
Right.
out. I
Right.
didn't like all I did was legit go work, come
Right.
back home, play video games.
Right.
And then eventually I'm like, wait a minute. Dow told me I could potentially join their team. So I reached out. That's
Right.
it. That was the leeway for me to use my ball knowledge with something
Yeah.
I'm studying, right?
Right.
So get my experience and whatnot. But yeah, like we're miserable. People don't understand that. I think
No, I don't.
it's not spoken enough because
No.
unless it actually comes from athletes, I don't think
Yeah.
it's validated. Like when NBA
Yes.
stars go on
Yeah.
podcasts, like John Wall
Yeah.
recently
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about how like his kids kept him
Yeah.
afloat.
It's all
Yeah,
alive.
you
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. That was crazy.
Isaiah Thomas, same thing,
Same
like his
thing.
kids like don't want to see a loser dad, you know what I mean? So like
100%.
but
100%.
not everyone is in that position. Not everyone has that backbone of like, I can't let them down.
Yeah.
So in the
Yeah.
reality and the grand scheme of things, obviously we're gonna let our family down, like our parents and like brothers, sisters, if we have any, and stuff. But I think regular people or like just former varsity athletes, not necessarily need the platform, but maybe just
No, we need to talk
would
about
be
it.
a good thing to share because
No, we do.
the new generation and the upcoming talent and the players that are currently playing and the seniors that are graduating this year, some of them will never play a game of basketball
For
ever in their
sure.
life.
For sure.
They
For
might not
sure.
even play a game of recreational basketball, let
Right.
alone like organized, you
Yeah,
know?
no, I know. I won't say his name, but like I have a good friend who was in the league. Um and you know, he made a lot of money actually. And once he was done, he's pretty much like, a bum essentially. He wasn't doing nothing else. You know what I mean? Because again, all he knew was just the ball, and no one really taught him like or told him, okay, maybe you can do this, try this. Why are you playing? And that's one of the things that I also trying to change. Where I started at a young age. Like I have a U16 team, a club AAU team that I'm starting. Well, I had it last year. I'm having it again this year, and obviously we have intense practices. I'm teaching the same thing that Hurley taught me, same drills. You know, I don't know if I can sit half of the stuff Hurley told me here, but it's quite crazy. I'll probably tell you one or two stories in practice if you want me to share it. But I share that to the kids, and I tell them, like, guys, I understand you love the game, you practice every day, but I need you guys, and I have like a requirement. I need you guys to do something else. I need your brain to think about something else, whether it's business, whatever you want to do next. The next, like, think now, so that you're not so consumed about basketballs. Because once it's done, it's done.
Absolutely. You know, it's a great example. Even like when I was done playing, like even like graduating after playing for a year, I guess too, because like COVID year, you're just like there with
Yeah,
practicing and whatever.
yeah,
Like when I played with Luke Stevenson,
yeah.
um, it's like, yeah, I didn't know anything else. I wanted to play. Like I went to every single home game like after I was done because I wanted to be there. Not
Yeah,
like
to
I
feel it.
genuinely like like I had my guys there. I obviously went to cheer
Yeah,
them on, but I had
yeah.
no business being there every single game. Like
Right.
I have other
That's-
I could have been doing other things, but I just went cuz I was like, "Damn, I miss playing." You know?
yeah, yeah.
So, but speaking of Dan Hurley, like you brought it up. I remember actually one time um you remember last year when you went to the Final Four and then you came
Yep,
back and you were at the
yep.
SMU runs and we were talking about this. We had a moment chatting about Dan Hurley and their incredible run that they had at UConn. You said something that is like, a, you guys were flying after dead balls even when there's no play like going on, like until the
Listen,
ball was secured.
yeah, man. To the bleachers.
Tell me more about this. Tell me more about this, man.
I'm sorry, Dan, if you ever watch this.
Oh, we'll find a way. We'll put it in the Twitter sphere.
uh,
You know how it works.
oh my God. No, man. Listen, back in mind you, Coach Hurley was his first year coaching college when he
Oh,
took over. Yeah, when he took over Wagner. So essentially, and I was talking to his dad too. He was like, "Yeah, you guys were like the incubators. Like you guys were like the first kid that he was trying, testing, see what's working and what's not working." So he was just throwing everything at us. Um, from practices intense. I mean, the intensity was first of all time high, and there was no complaining like the young guys do today. So like in practice, for example, like obviously you have the out of bounds, but once once we got practice and the ball get out of bounds, you better go chase that thing. If the bleachers there, the bleachers there. You better go grab it, and we're still playing. So like there was certain drills. There was no out of bounds like rules. It was like we're playing the whole time. So like essentially what he was trying to teach us was where don't stop even after you shoot or after you play happens or like you think that you can't get the ball. He wants you to be always in attack mode like a dog. And that's why that's why the Huskies are always winning because they just got that dog in them. Like they're just nonstop coming at you every single time, nonstop defensively. They're coming at you, offensively. Obviously, they're flying. So he created that sense of like fast pace. You know, essentially what he's done is, and we talked a little bit about it. And I asked him like, what's the craziness behind it? He was like, you just gotta create. Because I asked him some few advice, and he told me you just gotta create like essentially you gotta create a chaos practice. Because once practice is chaos and just crazy and intense, the game just comes slower, we're still fast, but like we just understand what happened, right? So that's kind of like his his method, and that's one of the that was one of the crazy things. My first practice, I'm like, what? No out of bounds? And we just flying around. It was nuts. And like mind you, that was his first year, so we were in like let's be honest, like the talent that he has now they are talented,
Oh,
right? So
the game is so far advanced from
right,
10 years ago. It's
it's
like
crazy.
it doesn't make
Even
any sense.
it really don't. I mean, guys are shooting now. Like, yes, I could shoot a little bit, but I wasn't adventuring to be an outside shooter. I knew my spot, stay down low.
Pick
That's
and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, get that
push
thing from up high.
get
That's
that
it.
100%. What? I was know what these guys are doing now. So like, definitely the game's changed, but the intensity from Hurley remained the same. He's just a dog. He just want and you know what? One thing for sure that makes him different, I think, is outside of basketball, once practice is over, man, the man got your back. You guys can we talk for like hours about all the things. Like he just here for you. Like even me retiring, obviously not playing for him no more. Like he's talked about, like last year, I told him I was coming. We said sure. Like and when we won, I was behind the hotel, behind celebrating with everybody. So that's like most time when you leave your university after a coach or whatever, usually that relationship sometimes is not there, right? Like I don't know how your relationship is still with some of your coaches, but like when you have a coach like him where you can always go back, I mean that's family right there.
100%. That's the feeling I feel like a lot of players don't get just because of like I feel like today, like I don't know if it's necessarily with like today's players, but it's more like the game itself. And like when you're too much in your mind thinking you're really good, and then you don't get necessarily what you expect to get from the coach.
It's a
Like
combination for sure. I think it's a combination, and I also think, like her, you always saying in all his interviews, like he knows how to recruit. He recruit the right people, the right family, and the right player. I think that plays a huge role because I mean, let's be honest, if you don't recruit the right guys, even if they're really really good, they're gonna be a cancer for your team, right? So like, but if you like five or like eight other guys in the team, you guys gonna have that bond, the chemistry. You guys gonna most likely gonna go further. I mean, you look at that team, and not just UConn, but any top team, NCAA team, when they go further, most of the time their team of chemistry is so strong. I mean, look at even Dow, right? We may say anything about the head coach, but like that chemistry as a player, the player itself are strong. They love each other. They believe in each other. And I think that comes to recruiting too, to be honest.
yeah, and talking, speaking like a lot of people don't really know Rick Plato and they confuse him for
Right,
someone that he actually isn't.
right,
Because let's face it, people that are watching the game in the crowd and they see a fixture moving down the court
right.
and constantly yelling.
Yes,
Rick Plato, you could hear him in the gym. He
yeah,
will make sure you hear him.
for sure.
But outside of that, the nicest, the most
Oh,
genuine
I bet.
person I've ever met in my life.
I believe it. I
He
believe it.
is the like legit the like whatever you want a great person to be,
Right.
that's what he is.
That's awesome.
Like, you know what
That's
I
awesome.
mean?
I mean,
Respectful, treats you like he treated me as one of his players and I never played for him
wow.
when I was at Dow. Like I
Wow.
was working and anytime I had like, had to I did a short documentary on him in my last year of
Oh,
university.
really?
Yeah, he invited me over to his house. Like I
Wow.
shot a few clips there, interviewed him there.
Wow.
Incredible, incredible human.
Wow. Wow.
So it's like a lot of those coaches, they're like those that have that culture,
For sure.
like you said, like doing the recruiting, they're recruiting the right person, and that's something that Coach Plato is after. Like he told a couple of times, like in interviews, like that I spoke to him, and he's like I don't recruit. Like if you're gonna have a bad attitude, if you're not gonna work hard, if you're not gonna take care of your classroom stuff, I don't care how good you are.
Yeah.
Like you're not
Yeah.
gonna play for me.
Yeah.
And you see, like there are a lot of guys like historically who might not have been the best fit just because They
Yeah.
weren't on the same page as Plato,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now these guys, you see them, they commit, they do everything by the book. You see them like show up. Like you never look at Dal and like hear anything negative about the players,
No, you can't.
you know?
You can't. You can't.
And
Yeah, but that's culture, like you said. Culture is the biggest thing. You have to establish culture early, and exactly what type of your culture is, and really believe in it, and then install it into the players so they can believe in it.
absolutely. So coaching, you obviously university, like being the assistant coach at St. Mary's,
Yeah.
then being the assistant with the Stingers, the level of basketball is evidently different. It's next level, obviously, like some pros play in there, some of the guys
Yeah.
from the G League, and
Yeah.
like a lot of current NBA players have gone through the G League. I mean the
100%.
CEBL.
100%.
What would you say is like the main difference between the talent you see in the CBL, and how do you think it develops like current players that are in the U Sports basketball?
Wow, good question. Um, for sure, obviously the skill level is more advanced. In some cases, obviously the top players are the one that are starting. Now, when you're looking at the bench, there's definitely a lot of your sport player who can play in it. Um, but obviously, yes, the skill level is a little different because some of those guys, to remind you, like the guy like you're talking about, the G League guys who are coming down for the summer to play. A lot of Americans come down. Obviously, even with the Stiggers, actually, we had obviously our captain, what's his name, Jordan Baker, who's a Canadian. He went to University of Alberta. He was like an all Canadian guy. He made history there, and he was as good as any American. He was like the leading rebounder from the team. Like he was nasty, and he wasn't like super fast or anything like that. Uh, but what I would say is the IQ is definitely a big there's this big separation there. Um, just like knowing how to read plays, even when it breaks down, what's the next thing? Where it's like you sport, I feel like and I hate to say it, I feel like in youth sport you constantly have to coach, meaning like, okay, go here and do this, down screen, make sure you pop after, or like make sure you roll after you set a screen, like certain things that I don't have to teach you don't have to teach. Definitely at the pro level, you don't have to keep saying it over and over and over again, right? Like that will just set a screen, roll. You don't have to tell them the next into the huge just pop or like backdoor or like what I mean, like just read things off. So that would be the biggest thing IQ wise. There's a little bit of a gap there, but skill wise. Other than those top guys, everybody else, you spoke as players as good as those guys, man. They can play. They can definitely play. And I think that's what's going to help. Obviously, the CBL is really, really horny, trying to have like more Canadian in the league. I mean, they just added the ACAC, I believe. What's the other conference
The
called?
the CCAA, so potentially
Sorry.
everyone that's like the kids that play
Right,
UKC, Mount,
right, right,
Holland,
right,
Humber, all these
right.
like other schools
And
across
those
Canada.
and they can play too. Those guys are dogs. I mean, I remember the kid. I'm sure you know who he is. He's in the States now. Um, it's a big kid. Oh my God, he played at Humber. They won.
Mm,
They won 2 years ago when they won it. The big guy. He's a big kid. Oh,
don't remember. I don't recall it.
so
But
anyway,
there
it's
is
fun.
talent. There is
Hey,
talent in CCAA. Like the difference with CCAA is that a lot of those players, they don't necessarily want to go to university, so they do a trade and play at the same time. Like
yes,
Holland is a perfect example. A lot of people that go to Holland, they go to culinary school,
yep,
they go to police school. You know what I mean? Like becoming
and
some like a profession rather
yes,
than actually getting a degree in
yeah,
marketing or
yeah.
communications,
And I love
journalism,
that. I
whatever,
love
you
that.
know?
I love that. I wish, it's funny you said that because it's funny. I had a conversation with my buddy too, Wagner, and we was just talking about it. Like, man, we wish we did like trade work or like, I was lucky enough. I was a little bit in marketing, and we did like a little bit of marketing class and 101 and et cetera. And I just kind of loved it, and I took it upon myself to just do some more research. But I wish I did like internship, And that's when, like, when you get a full scholarship, sometimes it kind of backfire because you don't have time to do other things. But like, I wish we did those type of thing where it's like it teaches you early about like real life stuff.
The one thing that I think that should be taught is the financial literacy. It's like
Yes.
a lot of people really don't know how to handle the money and like the
Yeah,
finances that they're being thrown at, just,
that's true.
the spending and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's like the basketball itself is like it's its own world, you know what I mean? Like from playing, from retiring, from coaching. What do you find actually more gratifying, playing or coaching now?
Oh, coaching. I love coaching. I love.
What's what's
I
what's the
actually.
one thing that stands out that you're like, damn, I'm so happy that I'm coaching now and I'm passing some sort of knowledge to these kids.
You know what? It's coaching is kind of playing at the same time. Coaching. I'm sure all the coaches feel the same way when you're in, especially at this level. When I'm coaching and then I get to be in the drill, I am a player at that point. So, and I love it. I especially love going against Jackson and kick his butt a little bit. It makes me feel happy still. Obviously, I want him to. Hopefully, one day he can beat me up because that's what we want. We want him to get better. But it's definitely one of the gratifying about coaching. Be able to still be in the drills with them guys. Essentially, we are in the trenches together, right? It's not just me. I don't. I'm not, and that's one thing I actually learned from Hurley. Like to this day, even when I went to UConn 3 years ago or 2 years ago, went to see his practice, and this guy is still in the drill with those guys. Like just like I was teaching them, showing them how to do it instead of just being on the sideline, just yelling or whatever. So he's in it with you, and I think that's probably why. That's one thing I got from what's like, if I'm in it with you as a player, players most likely gonna do anything I say, right? They're gonna run up the wall if I ask them, and I think that's very important.
Um, it's really it's funny. It's funny you say that. We had shout out to my guy Ben, the assistant coach at Kings. He used
Yeah.
to do the same thing with us. Like I remember our first time I met him, he was legit scrimmaging with the guys, and his IQ, like he's from France. He played in
Ben, yeah,
France.
actually, yeah, we are
So
coaching the same AUT
yeah,
this summer, yeah.
at the YG
YZ,
whatever.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So him, like there's something I learned, like one thing I learned from him. Like I was always a pesky defender. Like I've
Right.
always like,
Yeah, I know
defense,
that.
like I love that.
Yeah.
And like
Harley would
there's
have loved you.
it's so there's one thing that I don't know why, but he told me, Ilya, like if you play the guy up front, he
Hmm,
will have to play. He will have to make moves. And
for sure.
eventually he'll make a mistake. Whereas for me, I'm like, when you're thought like, okay, give a little bit of space if he's quicker, give
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And then I realized, I'm like, what? Why would I want to do that? Why would
yeah.
I want to give him space? Let me
No.
just be in his face and like piss them off or whatever, get them going or
Yeah,
riled up a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
It
Pat
works with
Bev.
some players, it doesn't work with others, but
True, true.
that's one thing
Good.
I took away from him too. Like, is just like him being in the drills, like playing with us sometimes. Like,
That's
it goes a
awesome.
long way because
It
yeah,
does.
like you would run up through a wall for coaches like that. Just like
For sure. For
do
sure.
things and just partake in everything. But I'm not gonna hold you for any longer. But before we go, I do wanna. I have this little thing that I call into it, so it's like a rapid fire segment,
Okay,
and I'll
okay,
ask you like quick fire questions. It's nothing
okay,
like crazy. It'll
okay.
be like a minute and a half, 2 minutes,
There you
but
go.
try to answer as quick as you can. And
I feel the pressure now.
hey, you're good, you're good. Okay, so on 3, 2, and 1, basketball goat.
Michael.
Hey, you never know, people. That's what I mean.
Come
What was
on.
your What was your go-to song when you were playing warm up?
McMill. I need McMill. Hold on,
Any
wait a minute. Yep, any me the anthem.
pregame meal,
Ooh, pasta.
coaching or playing?
Coaching or playing. I mean coaching. We just talked about it. So
Um, would you rather dunk on someone or to win the game, or would you rather have a game-winning block shot?
Oh, game winning block shot.
Um,
100%.
who's if you could have a dinner with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, KG. I need to have dinner with KG.
Who would win one-on-one, your KG?
I mean, how old is he now?
I don't know. He's probably
He
40s.
probably, yeah, he still probably look good though. He probably still can do some things. I don't know about that one, but I'm in for sure. I'm not backing down.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh, AI.
If you could play any other sport outside of basketball, what sport would it be?
Ooh, you know what? Volleyball.
Ah, you got the size. I see what you're saying. I see where you're going with this one.
For
I see
sure.
where you're going with this
I
one.
was up there in the air too. Let's go.
Who is your favorite athlete outside of basketball? Do you look at and like, damn, that guy or that girl's good?
Any athlete out there? That's a good one. Wow. Um, I mean, it's weird because That's probably because I'm lately. I've been to golf lately, even though I suck. But
I
what's
never played, so I can't even. If I swing the club is flying out of my arms.
But I mean, the goat itself. What's the? Oh shoot, okay, his name is
Talking about Tiger.
yeah, Tiger. Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
Tiger. Definitely.
Tiger Woods, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
But man, there you go. This is the rapid fire
Oh,
into
you
it.
got me. That was good. That was
Hey,
good.
hey, you know, it's like sometimes these are also like for me, I should actually make a list of like there's certain questions I ask everyone. Like
Right.
if they're a player, like pregame meal,
Yeah.
go-to song, favorite
Yeah.
player, who's the
Yeah.
GOAT. But then some I just think off the top of my head, like I would say one question and the second one is like, oh, this is the next one. I'm going with
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
That's awesome.
but hey man, I really appreciate your time. It's
No,
like
man.
47-minute long. Like, I'm
Good.
sure you have other things that, you got to do. Speaking of the bracket, the
Yes.
selection Sunday is on
Yes.
in, I believe, an hour and a half, an hour
Yep.
15.
Yep.
It starts at
Yep.
6. There's a
Yep.
couple of games on right now, the Big Ten Championship
Yeah. I gotta
and
watch
the
that.
SEC Championship as well. So
Who you think is gonna win that?
the
SEC
the
one.
the SEC, man, you guys, I think who's been hot? Auburn?
I think Auburn, right? If I'm not
Oh, Auburn,
mistaken.
yeah, Auburn won yeah, Auburn won. Florida was on the
Oh.
run though. There's our boy Tyrese uh on the team playing from Montreal.
Oh. Okay. From
Yeah,
Montreal.
Tyrese Samuel. Yeah, bro, I remember that guy. I remember that guy playing Bantam, bro. Like
Really? And he was bad,
we
huh?
played in the same team, like in same like
Right.
community, LaSalle, Boys and Girls Club, and he was when he was 12, I think he was the same height as me.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
I did grow since a little bit. Like I was like probably like 5'10" at the time, but like mind you, that guy was like 12 years old, 5'10".
Right. Right.
And then
Right.
next thing you know, he's like 6'9", 6'10" right now.
That's
Senior in Florida. Had a really good season. 14 points per game, close to 8 rebounds per game. Really,
impressive.
transferred. Yeah, he transferred out of Seton Hall for his
Oh
final
yeah,
year.
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember him now.
Yeah,
I do. I do. Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, it's gonna be the tournament itself, man. You know how it is. I can't even
Oh,
say a team at this point. It's like
nah.
next thing you know, another sweet 16, another 16 seed wins against the number one. But you know
March
what?
Madness.
I have a feeling. You remember the year when Virginia lost to the number one as a number
Yes.
one seed to
Yeah.
UMBC,
Yeah.
and then the following year they went all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue has a chance to do that.
Oh, Purdue
Purdue,
definitely.
Purdue has a chance with Zach Edey, obviously,
Yep.
and they have experience. And the one thing I actually had this conversation, I don't remember who I talked to about this, but the most important factor in the NCAA tournament is experience.
100%.
You don't see no one and dones win. You don't.
No.
When
It's very
Kansas
rare.
won, when Kansas won, they had what, one sophomore in Christian Braun, or was he a
I
freshman?
can't remember now.
But
remember.
Christian Brown was the one who was the youngest player on the team. But then
Yeah.
everybody Ochai Abaji,
He was old
senior.
though. Yeah, he
You
was
know what
old.
I
He was
mean?
senior.
All the guys that were on that team were old. So it's like experience wins. Last year, Adama Sanogo, senior.
Yeah,
Andre Jackson,
senior, and
senior.
even Jordan
Jordan
Hawkins
Hawkins was junior, I
Jr.
believe.
I think he was. He was a
The-
lights out shooter.
oh, he
Holy,
was crazy. That pull-up game was whew,
his play was crazy
rise up, let that go. It's
for
crazy.
sure.
What is Andre Jackson on, man? You see, I know you see,
Top?
I know exactly, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yo,
That was crazy.
what was that?
Well, that's him. he
That's
got he got the
like
upstate.
I've seen him have a crazy dunk in the
No,
tournament run
yeah,
in I believe the Elite Eight match. He
yeah.
just gone up,
Yeah.
threw down, but
That one was crazy. And then it's
my man, his head, like he cleared the whole thing. He cleared the 10 feet. Like he probably could have touched the top of the backboard
for
if he
sure.
wanted to in that same play.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
That was crazy to see. Yeah, he bounces crazy. He's insane.
It's
I mean, that's why he's in
nuts.
the league.
True. That is true. You know, players
Yeah.
like that, they find a way to play.
What potential? Like, man can jump off the gym. You gotta
anyone,
see
yeah, if you're athletic, you're already a step ahead.
for
You're a
sure.
step ahead. Because
It helps to
development
be.
part, if you want to learn and if you're willing to actually work on your game and go to the
Right.
gym
Right.
and put in the hours, nothing stops you.
For sure.
There's nothing that could legit be in front of you and like, oh yeah, well, you're not gonna make it. It's not
Yeah.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But Ming, my guy,
Hey,
again, I really appreciate you. Thank you
I
for
appreciate
joining.
you.
Thank you for sharing, your
Thank you.
experiences
Thank you.
as a
Thank you.
ball player.
Thank you.
One last thing actually, what would you say to the kids, that watched or will be able to watch this? What would be the message that you can share? Because, being an immigrant, going,
Yeah.
in the situation where you had to be by yourself, you had to learn a new language.
Yeah.
What would you tell those kids that are
Listen,
looking up to you?
no one cares. You got to put the work in. Period. No one cares. Put the work in, and then you're gonna get your flowers. But don't look for it, because no one cares.
There you go. You heard it from the man of the hour, Naofall.
Thank you.
Ming Folahan,
Thank you.
the all-time leading blocker for
There you go.
Wagner. I believe 230 total.
Something. Hey, I can't.
230. I know you averaged 1.9. I know that. I just don't remember the total
Hey,
number now.
one game actually, one single game I had 11.
Woo. One
Check
single
it out.
game, one time I had
Once-
9 steals.
Ooh, that's a
9
lot.
steals, yeah.
That's a lot. That's a
I was,
lot.
hands were everywhere,
I'm sure the ref forgot to call some of them.
All cookies, no milk.
Appreciate it,
again,
brother.
I appreciate you. To everyone who is out there watching or will be watching this, it will be posted on YouTube soon. It is already translated live on Facebook. So
Awesome.
if you were able to join, I really appreciate it. If you're going to watch it later, I appreciate you all. I appreciate your time, Ming, and thank you again. I'm sure we're going to have another talk maybe after the tournament if UConn wins again. We're going back to back, perhaps. I don't know. But until then, Ming, everyone out there.
Thank you.
This
buddy.
was 94 by 50 podcast with Ilyas Kurbanov. Remember, as always, to always keep it simple.
Yeah, I like that.
See you all next time.